Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Cultured Nerd Podcast. This episode, we're going to be talking about a couple of topics. Again, more DC, because apparently y'all and the algorithm love us talking about DC, so we're just going to keep talking about DC. We're going to be talking about The Joker 2. It came out this last weekend. The internet is apparently super pissed that the movie exists, and we're going to be talking about this film as well as the outrage and the negative reviews and how I personally don't think it's deserving because I maybe I saw a different movie than everyone, but I have thoughts. And then we're going to be talking about The Penguin because that is just blowing up despite some of the weird reviews the first episode had on certain outlets, IGN, giving it like a crappy review. The show is fantastic. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit. And then since we didn't do it in the last episode, we're going to be talking about that one dynamic duo Super Robin animated project because we totally forgot to talk about it there. So sit tight and let's get into it.
Everybody hates the Joker 2.
Apparently, except for a lot of people that I talk to. It's weird because...
Have you seen the Joker 2?
Yes.
When did you see it?
Over the weekend.
Now, you saw it when you had read some stuff about it, right?
I had saw it after the initial negative reviews came out and all the outrage came out, and I thought, it can't be that bad. And then I went and saw it, and I'm like, how is it that people didn't like this? So I had thoughts, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Did we all see the same movie? So I definitely had some thoughts. And then I went online and watched a bunch of negative reviews and people basically saying it's the worst movie ever created. I can't believe they did this. And I'm like, what did you think this movie was going to be? And that was kind of the overall that I'm getting is that apparently the biggest thing that killed this movie was unrealistic expectations and also some people being upset that they had 2 years to understand that it was a musical and didn't realize it was a musical.
Okay, so let's go back to the first movie. The first movie, there are a lot of beats that are taken from Scorsese's The Comedian.
Yes.
Like almost more of like Quentin Tarantino does homage to 70s movies, but they're movies you and I have never heard of. And then later we find out, oh, this scene was a love letter to this, where this was a little bit more obvious. While I thought that there's a lot of, you're right. When I think about that movie, there's a lot of stuff in that movie that's weird, quiet scenes. You know, I'm thinking about him chasing Mr. Wayne in the bathroom and stuff like that.
Or just the whole Tai Chi bathroom music scene.
Yeah. But one of the things that we talk about is things sticking the landing. And the ending of that movie, that feeling that you feel in your chest where you're like, I want him to kill Robert De Niro right now.
Yeah.
That was very real. And I think it really resonated with audiences. So,
and that's what made this movie so interesting because most people, I guess, like I said, the biggest problem that this movie had was that people had in their mind what they thought this movie was going to be before we got it. And what we got was a movie that was essentially the second half of the story. Arthur Fleck had created this monster. Arthur Fleck doesn't like the monster that he'd created and doesn't like the life that came from them making this monster. So it's still a character piece of him dealing with these things, dealing with this adoration, and basically finding that Harley loves the Joker and not him. And then you have this world that he had created and having to answer for his mistakes. So it was very much the second half of Arthur's story. And again, as literally everyone said from the beginning in the production, Arthur Fleck was not meant to be the comic book Joker. And that's what this story was basically saying that this is Arthur dealing with his mental health and realizing that the monster he created was not the monster he wants to live with.
It's so interesting when you put it like that, because I feel like there's many origin tales to the Joker, but the one that has kind of been settled on was he was kind of a gangster, kind of like in the Penguin show, right? Some individual that's involved with organized crime has this horrific accident, and then that leads him to have sort of this nihilistic view of the world. This, this Joker then is not that Joker.
No. And Michael, are you going to be seeing it anytime soon?
No.
Okay. Do we have a spoiler alert? Where's the spoiler alert?
You gotta play the spoiler.
Where the hell is my spoiler alert overlay? Where is this?
Okay. I will let everybody know if you legitimately, I'm only gonna let Taylor talk about this for 1 minute, okay? And then I'll say end of it and we'll continue the show. Taylor, put up the spoilers tab.
All right, so it is 5:40, it's 5:50.
They don't know that. We know that though.
Spoiler alert.
Okay.
Until minute 7. Okay.
Minute 7. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so throughout the movie, there was this one individual that was creepily smiling in the background of a lot of these scenes, especially in the courthouse scenes. And everyone's like, "Ooh, that's creepy." It's another one of them crazies that Joker created.
No, that's Joker projecting into, right? That's just the Joker. He's separate personalities. The Joker.
No, that's actually a different person. So this.
Oh, okay.
This at the end of the movie, this individual confronts Arthur in the court, in the prison, and basically this is after the sequence where Arthur Fleck denounces the Joker and says, "I'm not the Joker. I'm Arthur. I did all these horrible things. This sucks. Send me to prison." Right? So after that, this guy meets him and says this joke about, "Hey, what happens when a psychopath meets his idol?" And he's like, and he kills him. So Arthur is dying and bleeding there in the ground. And this guy in the background, in the blurred out background, is laughing and slices himself from ear to ear and gives him the Joker smile. You're watching this and you're like, this story is literally Arthur created a monster and now the monster has killed him. And spoiler alert.
What style, and I think that you have said that this is a musical for a very long time now. I don't think that that's spoiling anything. Is the music in the style of musical theater? Is it in the style of like movie musicals? Is it a little bit poppy because you have Lady Gaga singing these songs?
So, one thing that a lot of people said was that they did not like how Lady Gaga was underused. And she was not the main character of the story. Arthur was still the main character of the story. So what the music, it was all there. It was interesting because neither of them sang beautifully because they weren't meant to sing beautifully. But there was a lot of music that felt like it was more of a kind of a homage to the period of like the 70s and 80s, like game show music and stuff like that. So like it was very much, wasn't some like Sweeney Todd catchy, oh my God, I can sing the song in the shower. And yes, he just stabbed a guy. It was like, it was different. So
okay. So for whatever reason, when you explain movies to me as a continuation of the story, as an expression of art, that this is not going to be for a huge audience, you give me a much different flavor than what I'm reading elsewhere.
Yeah.
Does Warner Brothers consider this a flop though?
No, they don't. Because yes, it has negative reviews, but it's still making the same numbers that it made the last time. And it's probably going to break even. And that's fine. Because from the get-go, this project was not meant to be DC Studios. It has no connection to DC Studios.
Never has.
It was always said that if anything, you could consider this an Elseworlds project, but we have no hand in it. Even Todd Phillips on multiple occasions said, "I've never spoken to Gunn or Safran about this. I only worked with WB." This is a WB made film, not DC Studios and not even current WB. This is old WB. This is the last group. Because that's
funny enough, it seems like this is the same conversation we were having about Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
That nobody had a greater vision about these things. So this Joker resonated with audiences, but it's not really the Joker that we get. In fact, the Joker we want, it sounds like what you told me might happen elsewhere, but I don't think we're going to get that movie now.
And even then, it's not going to matter because Todd Phillips said that he was always wanting just to do this parts 1 and part 2, and it's Arthur's story, and that's it. And everyone who's trying to make something that it's not, you have to also remember that this is set like what, 2 years later, I think that's what they said in the movie. This is still the 80s.
Yeah.
Batman is still like 10 now. Okay.
Right.
So the guy that the ending is not setting up the Dark Knight Joker or anything like that because it's still 30 years away.
Yeah, but it's putting the idea of the Joker into the zeitgeist, right? That's the point of this.
And that was actually the point of the first movie, was that Arthur, he shows up at the at the show and says, basically the Bane thing. Nobody cared who I was until I became this. Now you all care, but now you're still laughing at me. And I'm tired of being abused. I'm tired of being made fun of. I'm tired of this. And you're going to get what you deserve. And then now he's dealing with the repercussions of, oh, maybe I took it too far, because now this world that I've created, these fans that I've created, these monster fanatics, I don't want this. And that's the movie, is that him trying to basically grapple with this idea that he wants Harley, but Harley wants the Joker. It's almost kind of like a twisted version of the Lois and Clark thing, where Clark is in love with Lois, but Lois is in love with Superman. And he's like, I want you, but you want him. And then, but the difference is Harley can't cope with the idea that the two are the same person, where Lois is like, Clark is Superman. Perfect.
But I'm trying to think of like some of the reviews I've watched on it, and they talk about it. I don't think that they had a vision for this movie. I think they didn't have a vision until after the first movie, and they gave him a check and was like, you got to make another. And he did. And maybe that's why it doesn't feel as poignant.
It wasn't as well crafted, I'll say that. Like, it did feel like there was some disjoining. Some scenes probably needed to marinate a little bit longer. They definitely felt like they fast tracked this when they could have used another 6 months to clean some stuff up.
Is that CG cleanup, or is that cleanup just like
writing cleanup? Like you could have tightened this bit a little bit more.
Sure.
But it wasn't something that I went out of the theater saying I just wasted $20. I was actually like, I'm going to buy this. Like, I'm going to own this, because I liked the first movie as the art piece that it was, not the. So I talked to my buddy Ryan Unicombe the other night about this film, and he loved this film as well. And he's actually now arguing with internet trolls who are like basically shitting on him for enjoying the film. And we both kind of said the same thing, is like, this movie took a mirror to the situation and made everyone look at, like, if you liked this, you're part of the problem. And that was the most interesting part of it, because it makes you like, oh wow, so yeah, I liked the Joker, I liked Arthur Fleck's story, he should have killed those guys. And then basically it's like, if you agreed with him, you're a monster.
Yeah.
And this movie did that. It is, like I said, it was the second half of the story of a human being with mental health issues who created a monster, and now having to deal with the repercussions of that monster now outliving him. So it was cool, but I don't think audiences were ready for what he was trying to tell.
Is there any Hollywood sniping that other people want this movie to do bad? Because you said it's going to make back its money, and I guess it had to. It had a bigger budget than the first movie, correct?
Yeah. But again, Warner Brothers doesn't really market their stuff unless it's on the internet, and they just do their own assets. You didn't see a ton of commercials for this. There's no merchandise, so there's not a lot to really worry about. And like when they say the inflated marketing budget, there really wasn't a lot.
Yeah, there was trailers for it, but you're right. We didn't get Joker 2 popcorn buckets, right?
No, we didn't.
We didn't get Lady Gaga performing these songs on Late Night with Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah. But what we got was that movie that cost them $200 million, and as of Tuesday was already about $120 million in box office worldwide. So you can safely say that, yeah, they're probably going to cap out at $300 million, make whatever's left on DVD sales, and it's not a net loss for them.
There's no DVD sales. When does this go streaming, you think?
Probably the end of the year, to be honest. But I'm going to buy the 4K Steelbook, because I liked the first one. I have it in 4K. I'm going to buy the next one in 4K. And as I always do, if a project is worth my time and money, I will buy the physical copy. And if it comes with a digital copy, that's the one I watch all the time.
Now, maybe I need to trust my internal opinion and not so much internet trolls, because I didn't read anything about this Penguin show. And I'm going to let you know, me and the wife are fucking loving it. It is. It feels like Sopranos. It's not Sopranos.
But it's funny. I was thinking about that last night, because people, like, I remember reading an interview from IGN. Like the IGN review for the first couple episodes was a 5 out of 10, and they said it sucked. It's trying too hard to be Sopranos. Blah blah blah. I watched Sopranos a lot when we were younger, and that show was not this show at all. Like, I'm
No.
trying to figure out where people like, oh, is it just because they're Italian and there's mobs involved? Like, it's like apples and oranges. This is not the same project.
We're going to be talking about, there's 3 episodes that have come out. So if you are not caught up with this, maybe this isn't the conversation for you. But they only, and now seeing 3 episodes, yes, there is a strong mother character, but it's not the same as the Tony Soprano relationship with his mom. Right? And you know, if we're talking about we live in the worst timeline, there's another universe where that lady stayed alive and Sopranos went in a different fucking direction because they had to do that weird. I mean, that was the show that did the first weird CG fake thing, right?
Yeah, well, they had to deep fake someone to make this lady not be dead for a scene so they could kill her off later in the episode.
20 years, but I mean, maybe what, 15 years before they were doing it in Star Wars?
Yeah, and they were, I mean, they were pretty good at it at the time. Nowadays, you can be like, wow, that's really jarring, but it's not like Tron Legacy jarring with young Jeff Bridges in the beginning. Like, that's not that jarring.
Taylor,
but it's still pretty jarring.
I think we forget. Now, you know this, that his villains are so interesting. And the Penguin, this interpretation of him, like, we haven't even seen the Penguin be really the guy yet. He hasn't got he doesn't have the umbrella with a gun in it yet. That's all I think going to come, but it hasn't happened yet.
I don't think any of that's going to come. I honestly think that he's not even going to adapt. I mean, he might basically be like, I am the Penguin. And like, but right now they're basically using the Penguin as like the N-word for him.
Right.
He's like, no, I am not that thing.
But I didn't know that I wanted the Hangman so badly.
Yeah.
She is fantastic. She eats
God.
crazy. We haven't addressed that yet. Why? I know. I think it's because of prison, but that choice of how she eats, jarring.
I legit love it. And I feel like she does it because people judge her and she's like, yes, I'm crazy. And she like eats the grapes and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I feel like you're just leaning into this and you just want to make people uncomfortable because it gives you the power back. That's what it feels like to me.
I don't know if she survives the season. She's going to find out that the Joker... Listen, the Joker he's got a dark Robin. He's got like a Penguin Robin that he's teaching how to be
and it's really funny because the internet is basically like, this kid, Victor, is probably like, is like, his whole backstory is just like Jason Todd. What if this is like... And I'm like, his name is Victor and he's already cut somebody up. He's probably Victor Zsasz. He's probably going to stop talking. He's probably going to scar himself to deal with the nonsense and just become the serial killer. Like, that's my theory of what's happening here.
Yeah, they haven't said. I mean, we don't. It doesn't matter what his last name is, but we don't. Yeah,
no, they have said his last name, but Zsasz doesn't seem like a real name either.
Sure.
So my opinion is that this guy, he probably has like another one of his mental breakdowns, like he did in episode 3, while he's doing something for him. He snaps, he stops speaking, and he just cuts people up, and then starts cutting himself to mark how many times he's done it. And then, oh no, it's a realistic Victor Zsasz. Here we go. That's my theory, but it's probably wrong, but that's what I think.
But Taylor, I love knowing that all of these shots have been daytime and stuff like that. You know who hasn't showed up yet? Batman. And you know where Batman shows up? His movies. And you could very well have this whole season happen and have at the beginning of the movie him do something that relates to this, is a fine as is, but is the payoff for the TV show, because the fact that Robert Pattinson is lurking out there in the shadows, they haven't brought him up once yet, Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, they did mention, I think they mentioned the Bat one time, but they talk more about the Riddler than they do Batman.
They mentioned that Batman, they show the news footage that vigilante Batman is saving people's lives. The whole city saw that.
Yeah.
But then you had that weird Riddler kid handing out flyers on the train.
And funny enough, were you one of those people who whipped out your phone and scanned that QR code?
No, what is the Q? Listen, I'm a little scarred by it, Taylor, because the last time there was QR codes, it said Robin was coming, but Robin's not coming. So what are the QR codes?
When did they say Robin was coming?
You told me 100 episodes ago, Taylor.
No, I don't. The QR codes did not lead to Robin.
That in the movie, there was these codes, and if you went to these websites, they showed you these comic books, and they were old comic books with the Riddler. Taylor, we did a whole episode on it.
No. What I said was the tie-in episode that they did, the tie-in QR codes led to a bunch of the Riddler stuff of him, like the orphans and stuff. And I was like, that could be a really cool way to set up a Robin or Like
you're
misquoting me.
Bitch.
You're misquoting me.
Son of
You're
a
wrong.
bitch.
I don't like it.
You led me on. You teased me. You wined and dined me, and I thought that little kid was going to be a Robin.
This is how I know you don't listen to me.
You are a teaser and an abuser, and I don't like being gaslit like this, Taylor. Pull up
This is what it takes you to.
Yes,
okay?
this is what I was fucking talking about. Oh, okay. No, this is the new one.
All right. So when you scan it, it comes up saying what has been put in motion can't be stopped. Arkham's releasing patients, and Blackgate is a mess. No one really is a prisoner there, not even our old pal Sal Maroni. People say they want the truth, but they shield their eyes when we shine the light. Let's make sure they are not blinded again to the corruption, the killings, the Falcone power grab. We start in the streets tonight at 9 p.m., meet at the Metro outside Crowd Point. Done and done. The revolution is just getting started.
Yeah, we haven't seen that yet. That's the next movie.
Yeah,
we haven't seen any of that stuff
What
yet.
they're basically doing is that this new Rattle-a-Data basically message board is now basically hinting at that the crazies that the Riddler inspired are planning some shit. And it's probably going to either pay off at the end of the season or into the Batman Part 2.
Does Batman's going to need a robot suit, Taylor?
For what?
If he's fighting on gangs of dudes. We saw him fight gangs of dudes, but he got beat up a little bit.
But then we also saw him like jack himself into adrenaline and it's like, I am stronger than a shotgun, and then like attack that dude. So like,
oh, I loved it. That scene where he getting blasted by the machine gun.
See, and again, my issue with these movies is that there are certain moments that take the realism out of it for me. Like they're trying to be so real that sometimes they do something that's crazy unrealistic, and I'm like, now I'm out of it. What happened?
When he dashed his brains on the bridge and just walks away casually.
Yeah, with his wingsuit where he like would have exploded from the speed and the crash, because Google internet videos of skydivers colliding with each other, and you see what happens when you're going that fast and you hit something, you puff into blood.
Did you see that video of the guy whose light weighing plane dies? It dies in the air, and he's like, call it. Like, he would not be moving. There'd be a Batman on the side of the road.
And then you have, fast forward to later, this bat suit can take machine gun fire, knock the recoil is just bouncing off, and he's like, man, just walking down that hallway in a really awesome sequence. But then a shotgun throws him 10 feet. I'm like, okay, first off, the amount of kinetic energy coming off of those machine guns is probably equal to a shotgun at that point. So how does that shotgun throw him 10 feet and those machine guns bounce off him like he's made of rubber? Like, I'm just like, the science is not adding up. Someone doesn't know how guns work, and it's driving me insane because it's like they played Halo and like the shotgun is the strongest weapon, and that's what they're basically doing.
I will say that after watching this Penguin season, I spent a whole episode of the docs. Taylor, I think we're getting a bat boat very soon. Everything is pointing to a bat boat.
Yeah, probably has one already, and it's probably going to be like all of his other vehicles. It's like a dinghy that he modified with bulletproof armor. Something just like, okay, he made that in his garage.
Do you think it's going to be like those Mexican drug cartel, those stealth boats, like real low to the water, right? Just all black, super low. And then, of course, you pay homage to Nolan. When the boat gets damaged, it turns into a jet ski. And then he like goes up, he's going to go fight somebody.
And he's like flying out on the little jet ski. And it's like,
It's wild how badly I want Batman meets Waterworld. Like, the more I think about it, like, what a world that would be. Going after the Smoker, going after the Deacon.
I want that now. Now you've like made me want this. We love Waterworld. That's a movie that's like, it's so bad it's great, and we just love it unconditionally.
For whatever reason, they marketed that movie to kids. There was toys for it. We watched it.
It's also during the era of our childhood where they marketed Terminator 2 to kids, and we had action figures for those movies, and we weren't allowed to see that movie, but we had toys for it.
God, yeah, and the Xenomorphs too. I remember
so many Xenomorph toys that I still don't understand why our parents let us buy those toys, because those movies are clearly not for us.
Listen, I remember in the 90s, Toys R Us was filled with horror toys. Yeah. Michael Myers dolls and all, that was just like in the toy aisle.
Yeah, it was a weird time to be alive. It's kind of wild.
How many episodes of this Penguin show do we get?
So this show, we're right now just finished on episode 3, and for a lot of people, myself included, my buddy Ryan Unicombe, he told me that this was the episode that really wowed him, and the beginning of this episode with the flood, seeing a whole different view of it, yeah, that was pretty awesome.
When we started watching it, the wife was like, "Oh, I thought he thought he said his parents died." I said, "Oh, I guess he's just a liar." And then you watch the horrificness of that event, like really putting it into perspective of how devastated Gotham is by this.
Yeah, and how like some of the smaller parts of Gotham have just been destroyed because
Taylor,
the tidal wave that came in just destroyed buildings.
It was wild to see in episode 3 how lonely the Penguin is when he's like, "You're gonna leave me?" He's like, "You think I'm holding this gun?" And then like the kid is a prisoner, but it's like not in the way that it's not a real chain, it's an invisible chain. Yeah. Because when he came back and hit the guy with the car, guess what, Taylor? He's jumped in the game. That's it. I mean,
it started with basically, I'm doing this because you offered me a job. It's either me work for you or you shoot me. And now it's like, I'm choosing this. So you see Victor is now chosen to be part of this world. So he may very well be a different person episode 4 onward.
Left her. Do you think that's going to be an issue?
I feel like that's probably why she's not going to survive this season, because she's going to be sitting there with Maroni's underboss and she's like, "What do you mean he did this?" And she'll be like, "Oh, he was telling us all this stuff." Because like she's got that crazy raspy voice. Like,
when do we see her do a hangman kill?
Probably next episode. I could probably see her hangman a few people, and then we have the flashbacks of Arkham where she hangman some other people. That's probably where I see it all going. I see it a lot of hangman stuff. I had to separate. I see a lot of hangman stuff coming in the next episode, but there's 8 episodes in the show. To answer your question, there's 8 episodes, and we are having episode 4 this next Sunday.
Let's let it cook, because everything I've seen, I have loved the flavor of. Taylor, we made promises made, promises kept. What is this Robin show you've been talking about?
Yes. Okay, so we missed it earlier on the last episode because we weren't paying attention and we got really distracted by everything else going on. Last week, James Gunn went to the social medias and announced this.
That's not true. He went to Instagram, right? He went to his Threads page or whatever. He went to
went to Threads, Instagram, and Twitter, and then talked about this. And it was also announced, I think, like the Hollywood Reporter. The show, it is a movie, and it is called The Dynamic Duo. And it was announced. This is what's very interesting about this project, is that this project, The Dynamic Duo, is an animated origin story for Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. It's animated. It's for kids. It's not meant to be part of the DCU or the Batman universe. However, it is being basically made in joint with both Matt Reeves's production team and DC Studios. So it is actually, it's a very unique project because it's going to have the DC Studios branding on it and Matt Reeves's 6 in Idaho branding on it. But it is a kids movie. It's very much like
an animated kids movie.
Yes. But the unique part about it is that this project is coming from Swaybox Studios, which nobody really knows about these guys. They're brand new. They are insane with the stuff that they do. And I'm going to pull this up real fast because I want you to see some of the craziness that they do.
Is this a dual Robin movie then? So we're going to see old Robin, we're going to see a Nightwing and this Robin together, right?
Are you ready for this? So it is actually... the story is the adventures of Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, 2 orphans banding together to survive the streets of Gotham as they embark on a journey that changes their lives. So there's probably going to end with them both becoming Robin at the end of it.
Right, but we're going to see them stealing bread, doing cool tricks off. Just parkour, right? Like they will be able to do that. We'll just see that in part of Robin's arsenal of moves.
Yeah. So what this company does, Swaybox Studios, as they described in the announcement, Swaybox uses a mix of animation, puppetry, and CGI and live action.
Puppetry.
Okay, ready for this? I'm going to start showing you some pictures of some of the stuff they've done.
Okay.
Because that is the best way to give you an idea of what they do.
Okay.
Because they are absolutely awesome.
Should I put tape on? Do I need to put tape on my nipples?
You might, because it's going to be a crazy ride.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm holding them. I'm holding on tight.
So they do this
Whoa.
puppeteering thing, right? And with these puppets,
And then
they
you clean up the puppets with the CG.
yes, and so they've done a commercial with the NFL a couple years back, and that commercial was just like, holy crap, good for you guys. So what they did was they used live action backgrounds, they used CGI cleanup to make the puppets seem fluid and realistic, but they also mixed live action and animation into it. So this project is going to be this weird, almost Coraline look to it.
Yeah.
But the project is also going to have live action background. So they're going to be like, here's live sets with a weird ass puppet. Like,
do you think that that's why you need Matt Reeves there to use that weird that room that, that special room they're filming in now? Do you think that they're going to use the puppets in that and then have him do those backgrounds?
No, I don't. Not because there's something. So here's another example of when they did the live action. Let me see if I can find it. The wonderful people over at Reddit shared this photo. And this is what it shows you, like the two of the puppets talking, and it's like a mixture of the CGI and the live action simultaneously. Because it is, they use CGI cleanup to make the puppets have legs and stuff. So it's not like the Muppets where everyone's a torso. Yeah. And they had these people walking around doing stuff on bikes and stuff. And then they use a physical set of like trees, lighting, all of that stuff. So it's not quite what we got with like Coraline and those projects where everything from the ground up was stop motion. This is real-time puppetry that is used with live backgrounds and CGI cleanup.
I'm so happy people are still paying for interesting kids movies and new ways of telling these things. I guess puppets isn't a new way, but
this kind of puppet is.
Yeah, so I hope this is a proof of concept that this is how I feel. This is how I wish Willow was done. As I'm thinking about some of these legacy things of how do you do them? Maybe this is the way, and you have these very close likenesses. Now it's not the same, but Lord of the Rings would sure look fucking good as puppets.
It would, but I feel like this is a great way. And someone asked me, why are they making this film? Because it's not the DCU, it's not Mavs Reviewers. Who is this for? And I've talked about this multiple times that DC and pretty much any company, they tend to do this thing where they try to introduce a character and they introduce it in a way to increase exposure and public knowledge of the character.
You gotta listen, it's been Batman for a long time now. They need to introduce Robin into the greater minds of the cinematic universe in a way that hasn't been done, right? There hasn't been a Robin property in a long time at this point.
The last time we saw Robin on film was back in the 90s with Batman and Robin. So the idea that kid audiences haven't had a Robin on animation except for the amalgamation of all the Robins, the Black Kid Robin that's in the Batwheels cartoon for the preschoolers. Other than that, we don't see Robin a lot. Last time we saw him was the Batman from the Batman animated show from the mid 2000s, and then since then we've had a few Batman projects with no Robin altogether.
Now Robin's been in animated stuff forever. There's been lots of stuff like that, but not on the cinematic end.
No. So what this to me is that this is them doing a Crypto the Superdog, where it's we're going to use this character in live action, but we want kids to know what the character is. So to me, when they said Jason Todd and Dick Grayson, that immediately was they're going to be in The Brave and the Bold, because if they're increasing audience awareness of these characters, they have to be using these characters in other capacities later down the line.
And kids, buy your Robin shirts because you're going to really want to wear them when you go see Brave and the Bold and support your characters.
But on that note, Michael, take us home.
This dynamic duo is ready to send you over to the patreon.com/theculturednerd. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for helping us keep this ship afloat. If you don't have any shekels to send our way, please comment, subscribe. Please, it helps the algorithm in our favor. Question of the week. Who should the villain for this Robin puppet movie be? There's a lot of things. Well, that's the villain that comes for us all. But what would you like to see in sort of that? I'm thinking a Poison Ivy would look fantastic in that sort of art style, if you will. Taylor Murphy is your host. I'm your co-host, Michael Santel. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see all you kids and cats next time.
Bye. And again, as Michael said in the last episode, you're not allowed to steal any of my stuff. So I don't know why Michael keeps
go to the comments of the last episode to see what you would steal from his closet. That's not today, though. Today's question is, who do you want as the bad guy in the Robin movie?
It's a kid's movie, by the way, so it can't be like Black Mask. He has to murder people. Like, can't be anything crazy. Think of this for the kids.
Yeah, I hear you. Again, you already said the villain's poverty. It's pretty good.
Villain is poverty. That's the antagonist of the first act, and then it's going to be like Two-Face or something.
Two-Face would be great.
He would.
Killer Croc would be great.
And Baby Doll. I think it messed some kids up having a little person that looks like a doll that's trying to shoot people. That might be fun.
Inception, a puppet within a puppet. You have a little puppet doing a
the ventriloquist and Scarface. Yeah, that sounds great.
Listen, any of them would work.
Puppet of a puppet.